And this is the pregame show on OSN for a Saturday tilt. And yes, we are early. Lever Sage, Tanner Ryle with you. I don't have your name tag in there again, but just wave Tanner. And for all the people that are coming on now and thinking these guys are early. Yes, we are early. Why are we early, Tanner?
So we're going to be boots on the ground at the Canadian Tire Center for the Battle of Ontario.
That's BOTG to me.
Yep.
For now, boots on the ground. And yes, we will be, I don't know, we'll hedge our bet depending on how the game is going to get back here in time for this is overtime. But no, looking forward to the experience. And a lot's been written. A lot's been said about the Toronto fans, the Montreal fans taking over the CTC. I know Callum Fraser wrote an article for the Ottawa Sun/Citizen this week about that.
Yeah, and I believe Julian McKenzie of The Athletic also had a piece today. I didn't get a chance to read it, but I did see it.
So, in your experience, how many Toronto-Montreal games have you been to lately in like the last couple of years?
Toronto won, which was game 3 last year, which was very heavily Ottawa because I think the organization did a really good job of making sure it was mostly Senators fans, to their credit. Montreal, I think I've been to 2 or 3 in the last 5 years. Some a little bit heavier than others. And yeah, it gets a little bit rough. The Habs fans can be a little nasty, but for my luck on those nights, the Senators won all of those games. So I didn't get it too bad. I have heard some bad stories, especially from a couple of the Sens Habs games from this season where it was very heavy Montreal and some not so nice things said from some fans.
Yeah. As a fan, do you have an issue with those fans coming to the games?
I don't have an issue with it because they paid money the same as any Senators fan did to go. But it certainly irks you whenever you're hearing an away goal scored in your barn and the reaction sounds louder at points, or when the ole, ole, ole start or the go Habs go. That can irritate me, certainly, as a fan.
And you're a guy that has, partial season tickets and you do your part. I always wonder with the people who kind of go to these single games and then wonder why it's like that. And if more people just bought tickets to go see the game. And tonight's going to be a really interesting game from that perspective from the fans, because the Toronto Maple Leafs are out. They are not making the playoffs. And the Senators have been playing very, very well, but are still 5 points out. But I think they've garnered some, maybe we can get there, the fans belief. Like fans go and maybe we can get there. But every time I think it's going to be a more Ottawa-centric crowd in these type of environments, it's Saturday night and Leaf fans bought tickets a long time ago and they still love walking around and kind of pointing to their jerseys and all that stuff. I wonder what it's going to be like tonight. I think it's going to be an interesting experience.
I would agree. I do think it's going to end up being more Sens than Leafs this time when you look at just the way that their team is completely out of it, and no Matthews is probably another factor for some people wanting to come to the rink. I'm sure Leafs fans who live in Ottawa are still going to go because this is the one game a year they probably do go to. But I doubt you're going to get those traveling fans maybe that would make the drive down from Toronto for the cheaper seats. They were probably reselling it. And we know even this week, the organization was really trying to push to get more Sens fans in, and still lots of tickets left for a Saturday Sens Toronto. I think if Toronto was still in the mix, those tickets probably wouldn't be available.
Yeah, exactly. So, as I mentioned, the Sens still 5 points back of a playoff spot, and the opposing Toronto Maple Leafs, what's interesting about them right now is that they have that top 5 lottery protected draft pick, that if they fall into the bottom or the top 5 of the draft, bottom 5 of the National Hockey League, that they will keep their pick. Well, right now they are 6 points above where the 5th spot is. Now there's, 4 teams would have to pass the Leafs in the standings for them to fall down to the bottom 5. But it's only, I say only 6 points. When you have bad teams, sometimes 6 points can take 3 weeks to get. But the Leafs have actually been playing fairly decently over the last little bit. Yeah, they lost last night to Carolina in overtime, but this is a team that has probably got more points than Leaf fans would like. So a conundrum, I think, for Toronto fans tonight.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, players don't play to tank or play to lose.
No.
That's never going to happen. I don't see them falling into the bottom 5 because I think there are a clear-cut few teams that are certainly worse than the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I think it's going to come down to lottery luck as to if they're picking there this season or not.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, definitely a conundrum for Leafs fans that you probably do want this team to start losing a little bit more. But I just don't know with the talent on that roster that's going to happen.
From the Ottawa Senators part, they've done everything that they can do over the last little bit. And they go into this game tonight, Toronto, knowing what's on the horizon. A big week ahead after this game, as they have the New York Rangers on Monday. They have Detroit, huge game on Tuesday. But then, even so, Pittsburgh on Thursday.
Yep.
The Pittsburgh Penguins won in a shootout today with the Winnipeg Jets. So every team around Ottawa just continues to win, like happened the other night as well. Like Ottawa wins 12 seconds to go and felt like they had to win. Was that I'll call it a coming back out party for Brady Tkachuk? Yeah,
I know you guys talked about it a lot on the post game. You and the Mac truck there.
Mac Daddy. Big Mac.
Yeah. the Mick. This is Mick overtime was great. But
all I remember from that show is that Ethan Fink gets 4 patties on his burgers. Like
knows what he likes.
A double McDouble. I'm like, I've never heard of this before.
Maybe if you're skipping the fries on the side or something, I could get behind that.
A double McDouble.
I don't know, man. I like the quarter pounder because that patty's way better.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, Brady Tkachuk. Yeah, I think that was easily his best game of the season. And I think he was quite vocal in the pregame and postgame that him and Travis Green had some sort of a sit down, and he wasn't open about what was said there, but Green probably knew he was going to drop the gloves there and try to have a big night. And I think he did. I mean, he was all over the score sheet. He was hitting. He got the game-winning goal. Very Brady Tkachuk-esque type of game. That's what they need from the captain going forward. And, he's spoken about not feeling quite himself since coming back from the Olympics. They came back. They were on the road right away. Lots of time zones. Hopefully he's finally settling back into a rhythm because they really need him right now. And no better example than the other night against the Islanders.
I can tell you, when they say, well, we're not going to tell you what happened in the conversation, I got a pretty good idea that Travis Green was like, Brady, come on. You got to be better than this. And however he chose to say it, he said, look who's here. Z Gibbons says, Lee and Tanner, face to face.
Yeah, it's been a while. I haven't been in the studio in a hot minute.
And says, Mick overtime is my gimmick.
Why?
I guess because
Shamrock Shakes this week.
See, there you go. Tanner, firing on all cylinders. We mentioned off the top, Zach, that Tanner and I, BOTG tonight.
I feel like that's also from another show. We might have to come up with our own moniker for going to the rink or something.
Okay. Yeah, boots on the ground. I don't love it either.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
We'll workshop it. Shamrock Shakes suck, by the way, but
what?
Not a fan.
What shakes are your fancy?
I don't love the McDonald's one, actually. I'm a big chocolate guy, and I don't like their chocolate very much. Just something about it.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Dairy Queen, Burger King, somewhere like that. Sure. Yeah.
Frosties? Wendy's?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love Frosties. Yeah. Big Wendy's guy. The fries in the Frosty. Oh, yeah. The sweet and salty, man. It's so fucking good.
Sucks.
Crush a bacon.
Oh, my God. Frosty. Zach says, I will be BOTG at the Belleville Senators game this evening. There's nothing like everybody boots on the ground to non-playoff teams like we are attempting tonight. However, the top team, I think, has a bigger chance than the Belleville Senators of getting there. Zach keeps telling me that, well, they're only just 3 points out, but they never win, Zach.
Yeah.
The Ottawa Senators are winning. Yes, they're having a tough time gaining ground. So much to talk about in this game. I was just reading Pat McGuire's article in the
Hockey News.
The Hockey News, yeah. I don't know why I blanked on that for a second. But I understand the genesis of his article that says Senators wildcard chase would be even more interesting if the NHL moved to a 3-point system. One thing though, Pat, when you're writing articles, I don't mean to be the teacher here, but what's the first thing that came to my mind with this article? It would be, okay, it'd be even more interesting if they moved to a 3-point system. I'm going to assume that you've done the homework to say where they would be if all the games were 3-point, like in regulation, all that stuff. Nowhere, Tanner, nowhere in this article.
Okay.
Does it say it says about all the things that should happen, and it would reward regulation winners, and it would keep teams in the hunt and television ratings, blah, 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 blah. Nowhere does it tell you they would be 1 point out of a playoff spot or in a playoff spot if they were playing that way.
Yeah. Where would the Bruins be? Where would the Red Wings be?
So I get a little frustrated with things like this, but I don't disagree with the genesis of the article that something needs to be done when you're having games and like this, that, you know, you go into tonight and you look on the scoreboard and every Sens fan is going to be watching what goes on with Boston and Detroit tonight.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, those are the
huge night for the out of town scoreboard tonight.
Yeah. The Islanders are in Montreal too, and that's another big game. But the two teams that Ottawa chasing in those wild card spots right now are Boston and Detroit, and they play each other. And people just dreading that goes to overtime, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just the worst case scenario.
I think best case would probably be a Boston regulation win, but I mean,
only because of a feeling of trying to catch Detroit's going to be easier.
I think so.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Boston's just playing really well. They've been playing really well for 2 months.
Yeah, and then I don't even know where you would go with Islanders Montreal, because Montreal's falling back a little bit, but Islanders are a Metro team.
Yeah, I mean? I still think you're not catching everybody in your own division, and the Islanders continuing to fall back lets them be the team that's not going to get to the playoffs in the Metro, and it lets all the other teams. So now it would be clear you just need to catch one of Boston and Detroit. You don't need to worry about those other teams. But you don't know. You just don't know. So going into this game, some of the talk, and Brady Tkachuk, never shy on opinions, goes on his Wingman podcast and this week and talks a little bit about the Radko Gudas hit on Austin Matthews. And why is he doing it this week? Because it's a topic of conversation, but why is he doing it? Maybe because he knows that the media is going to go to the rest of the Leafs like they did this morning on Morgan Riley and ask him about the non-response from the team. Brady Tkachuk saying on the podcast that your captain gets taken out like that, you got to have a way better response. I know how I'd feel if I got hit like that and nobody really jumped in there. I'd be pretty pissed. So that leads into a couple of discussions. Number one, is he trying to do something to gain a mental advantage going into the game tonight?
I guess. I mean, the pod was on Wednesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's usually when they post it. It was probably recorded a couple days before that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the main thing, or he's just trying to stick up for a guy that he teamed with at the Olympics and is saying that he would want that should it have happened to his team. But I could buy into it a little bit.
Yeah, I think he knows that Toronto's coming up on the schedule a couple of times before the end of the year, and those are going to be must-win games. But I agree that the first thought is sticking up for Austin Matthews, the captain of the U.S. gold medal winning team. And it then leads us to a discussion. We've heard all sorts of rumors this week. There's been things out there about William Nylander. Or are the Leafs maybe thinking that they can do something with him over the summer? Matthew Knies came up in a weird way too. Like Elliot Friedman just explained, well, no. Like, it's not like Matthew Knies, they were going to trade him. They just wanted to see what they can get for him. Well, yeah, teams do that with every player every day.
Yeah, it sounded, I think it was Friedman that said there was something going on between Anaheim and Toronto, which kind of interesting now that the goodest thing happens between those two teams.
Yeah.
Something around Knies for, I believe it was Mason McTavish, who's been in their press box a little bit, and Pavel Mintyukov, who I think is a little bit expendable for the Ducks just with the defensive depth that they have. But yeah, a lot of smoke around the Leafs. I also wonder about their goaltending. I think that's come out a little bit. Do they try to move a Stolars or a Woll in the offseason? Because Dennis Hildeby's going to need waivers next year. Interesting things.
And then Austin Matthews.
Yes. Some people feel that he's played his last game as a Toronto Maple Leaf.
I'm probably one of those people that would at least err on the side of whether it was 60-40 or 70-30 on the side that he has played his last game. If I'm Austin Matthews, I'm sitting back going, I got 2 more years left, 2 very, very valuable good years. I've come off the experience of a lifetime. All I do is get shit for being the captain of the Maple Leafs. It's all my fault all the time. And we're not only bad this year, but it doesn't look like they're going to be a whole lot better next year. It's not like this is a one-off. Like, don't worry, we'll be back, and the Leafs will be back in this, Stanley Cup hunt next year. I don't think anybody really feels that way. And now he has, I don't want to say an excuse, but if he says, look, I got hit, I got taken out for the year, and not one of those guys stuck up for me, like, I'm out. Brady's even talking about it. Would never happen in Ottawa, and it wouldn't happen here.
No. Not. But God forbid they take a slap shot on an empty net.
Right.
That requires a response, Morgan. But
I know.
We can move on from that.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I also think for the Leafs, it makes sense. Like, they've got no future assets right now. They're probably not getting this pick, and they owe their first rounder next year because they traded 2 first rounders at last year's deadline for Brandon Carlo and Scott Lawton.
Incredible, right?
Of all players. And they gave up Fraser Mintonen, who looked like a pretty solid prospect.
Yeah.
So,
no, they've just decimated.
Yeah, like, what would get you more future assets than Austin Matthews?
No, you could reset the franchise foundation for the next. And if you're going to trade Matthews at that point, now I'm definitely entertaining offers for Nylander and Nyes, and like I'm blowing it up.
I mean, Nyes is a little younger, so maybe he'd be the guy that they keep.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I could definitely buy into like Nylander. You know what? Wouldn't hate him as an Ottawa Senator. Doubt it would happen, but of all the players on that roster, I wouldn't mind that one.
I agree. I was actually going to go another direction with players on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Would you take one of Stolars or Woll to be the backup next year?
I think Woll would be the guy that I would look at over Stolars.
Mm-hmm.
I know both of them can't seem to stay healthy, but it's not like Linus Ullmark can either. But I think when you look at trade protection, at age, at cap hit, I think Woll would make a little bit more sense. Unless they're looking to move Hildeby, which I don't think they would be. It would probably be one of Stolars or Woll. But also, if I'm the Leafs, if there's a guy I'm keeping, it's probably Stolars and Hildeby, and trying to move Stolars and keep Woll and Hildeby.
Right. I just think that both of those guys provide enough experience that they're not Levi Merolainen and they're not James Reimer.
Right.
And like, it's an upgrade. And if the Leafs are looking to get rid of one of those guys and you can get them fairly cheap, I think they provide an upgrade over what they have right now. They cannot go into next year, no matter what happens for this year. They cannot go into next year with Linus Ullmark and Levi Merolainen.
No, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And I was actually looking at just the expiring goalie UFAs the other day because I was kind of curious who might be available. There's not a lot there. Like, your best option might be David Riddick. Like, they're not bringing back Cam Talbot or Matt Murray. No. Stuart Skinner is probably the best expiring UFA, and I imagine he's probably going to get paid just because he is the only guy there that can maybe be a starter.
I think there are a bunch of teams in on Stuart Skinner. I think you'd be very surprised when Skinner got moved, how many teams were in on him.
Yeah. I mean, he's back-to-back cup finals. He knows how to deal with the big pressure Canadian media.
Yeah.
Seems like a great locker room guy.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of teams in on Stuart Skinner. And
yeah, if I'm the Sens, if I could get Skinner in the offseason, I'd be all over him as well. I think he'd be a great pickup.
I agree.
I don't know that,
as you said, though,
cap-wise, he's going to get paid.
Right. You would have to pay him more than you might have to pay what guys in the trade.
But yeah, like beyond that, it's like Riddick, Tarasov, Bobrovsky is also, I guess, the other big UFA, but it does sound like Florida's trying to keep him around.
Yeah, he probably wants to go back there too. I mean,
I don't think he would make sense for Ottawa either.
No. All right, well, let's get to this game. And what Ottawa did well, first of all, they only gave up one shot in the third period against a pretty desperate Islanders team.
Yeah.
I thought it was a hell of an effort, especially when the one shot the Islanders scored on gave New York the lead, and it was 2-1 New York, and you're like, oh my God, here we go, right? Like, and they didn't seem phased, came back, and yeah, I mean, most times they probably don't score at the end and it goes to overtime and maybe they lose, but down 2-1, they were not phased. They came back, they scored, and gave up one shot in the third period.
Yeah.
On back-to-back nights, right? In the last period of back-to-back nights, I thought that was one of the more impressive periods of the whole year.
That's the brand of hockey that we're becoming known for now.
Yeah.
And I think, that's winning hockey.
Yeah, they did a really, really good job. Some of the other news today, a little bit of an update on Jake Sanderson, back skating the last 2 or 3 days. And
that's right. I believe Green said in the ballpark of the next 7 to 10 days.
He said hopefully in the next week to 10 days.
Yeah.
That's a ballpark.
So you're maybe looking at the game against the Panthers next weekend, early the week after, as probably the earliest that we would see him.
Yeah, if I look to their schedule, you want to see a gap in days. Right. So, I mean, if it really is 7 to 10 days, and it would be 8 after the Saturday game, as you said, so then you might have some time in between that Tampa and Florida game. But
it's on the road though, as
well. And maybe you want to just be back at home because they have 5 straight home games after that. Buffalo, Minnesota, Carolina, Tampa, Florida. Not easy opponents, but they do get Florida a couple of times. But they are a team like I'm not worried about this game from an Ottawa perspective. Like, I know it's Toronto and I know Toronto's playing a little bit better, but I think what's happened here is they are playing well enough that they're better than Toronto, and the fans got to feel pretty good about that. No?
Yeah, I mean, the team's just bought into Green's coaching style. I haven't seen a whole lot of complaints about Travis Green in the last couple months. Used to a little bit early on in the season, but
yeah, he's a hell of a coach. And this isn't because they're doing well now. I've just always thought that he was a really, really good coach. And I still don't think about what they're doing this year with no goaltending, none, zero. And again, not discrediting them, because every time I turn around, there's a new stat on how great Jordan Spence is as a defenseman. But they still came into the year and they got Spence and Clevin and Jensen and Matt and Paolo. And I just don't know how they've gotten through some of this time.
Like, their defensive game is way better than last season, but their offense has also stepped up as well, because last year they really struggled to score 5-on-5 and on the power play. And even the penalty kill has turned around since they did the coaching change there.
Oh, tremendously it has. So they go into this game. The only worry that I would have as a Sens fan, if you were going to this game, is Linus Ullmark. That's right. And that's going to be for the rest of the year, right? Like, they are, even without Jake Sanderson, they are plenty good enough to just stifle Toronto, take them out of it, be patient, end up winning the game kind of in the second half of the game when they frustrate their opponents, and go on to win. So day off yesterday, day off tomorrow, before they have back-to-back on Monday and Tuesday. You got a prediction?
For tonight, I think it's going to be a Sens win. I know I wasn't feeling too great about them going into the Islanders game. I was glad to be wrong, but yeah, I think they're going to take the Leafs tonight, and I don't think it's going to be particularly challenging. Just when you look at that roster and what's going on in that team, I don't think Craig Berube is going to be around next year either. We didn't even mention that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm pretty confident. I think we're going to see Sens win tonight. I'm feeling like a 4-1, 4-2 type of thing.
I was literally going to say 4-1 Sens. But
look at that.
But you know what? I'll change it. And I'll say 5-2, just because, you know what? Linus Ullmark's going to give up a couple goals. Got to give up a couple. Yeah. Well, Tanner and I will be right back here. And depending if it's like 5-2, 4-1, third period, we'll have some time to take it back here. We're gonna have to make a decision. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Like with 10 minutes.
10 minutes in the third, something like that.
Yeah. We're gonna have to make a decision tonight.
I don't think we'll be leaving after the second period like Ethan and I did in that Carolina game. But
well, if it's 6-0 Ottawa,
true, yeah.
If it's 6-0 Ottawa, I might say, Tanner, we're gonna head back to the studio
Sounds
here.
I can be on board with that.
Well, we'll see what happens. Z Gibbon, we appreciate you being with us. Yes, we are on early today, but Zach enjoy the Belleville game. We'll enjoy this game, and we will all congregate. And yeah, I don't know what people are hoping for the Boston-Detroit game tonight, but certainly hoping, I think for the New York Islanders, that would be, the Montreal Canadiens to beat the Islanders. You're just not going to catch everybody, right? So
yeah. And I think between those teams, Detroit's probably the more catchable one. So I would lean towards Boston, but I think your big hope in that one is just that it doesn't go to overtime, because that's the worst case scenario.
Yeah. I mean, Montreal's tied with them in points as well, right? So even though they're third, there's a lot of don't know what to make of it. And for Ottawa's perspective, all they can do is go out.
Yeah. So Cole Caulfield's going to win in overtime tonight for the Montreal Canadiens, and then we'll be sitting here talking about that.
If I'm telling you, if both of those games go to overtime and everybody's getting points tonight between Montreal, Boston, Detroit, and the Islanders, they're literally the 4 teams in front of Ottawa right now.
Yeah.
And they're all playing each other. They honestly, the best case scenario is just both games ending in regulation.
Right.
Like that is the best case scenario. And then go from there. Win your game tonight and see what happens. Well, that's what we're going to do as we bid you adieu. And I'm not going to do the full Kenny Omega.
But say goodbye and good night.
Yeah.
Tonight, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. I was thinking. But hope you enjoy the Toronto-Ottawa game, and we will. And then we're going to come back here and be on This Is Overtime. Thanks for being with us on the pregame show on OSN.